Hi, Steve Thomas here with the Thomas Group and Real Broker, your local Las Vegas and Henderson realtors. Today I am joined with David Yurovchak from Guild Mortgage. For those of you that may not be familiar with David, David's one of our partner mortgage officers here in Las Vegas. David and his team probably handle about 80% of our group's real estate transactions in terms of the ones that are being financed. And trust us, we've got a lot of options in terms of mortgage officers and lenders to choose from, but we choose to work with David because they are phenomenal at what they do. They're professional, they have great rates, but one of the most important things for me is their programs that they have, their loan programs. Not all of us are, work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and have a regular source of income. Not everybody fits into a certain sort of box. So being able to work with somebody that has multiple options for you is very, very, very important, but somebody that understands the market and the local market is even more valuable. And David's been a lender for how many years now?
18 going on 19.
18 going on, so almost 20 years, folks. So David, thank you for joining me.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching. Today we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about a few different mortgage programs that are out there. If you are a veteran, if you are a first-time home buyer, maybe you have a home somewhere else in another state and you're wanting to move here to Las Vegas, but you don't want the stress and the anxiety of having to sell your house wherever you are and buy one at the same time. David's got some loan programs that I feel like are extremely valuable to learn about, which we'll talk about shortly. But the first one that I wanted to introduce everybody to is a mortgage program that I really wish you guys had available like last year in 2021. In 2021, as you probably know, it was a crazy year in real estate. So much demand, not enough inventory, but really what was happening as well is there's a tremendous amount of cash buyers entering the market. Now you might be thinking, well, who are all these people that have got all this cash? Well, some people had sold a house somewhere, have a ton of equity and used that, but also because of the kind of the environment that we've been in recently with inflation, what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of those cash buyers are actually hedge funds and Wall Street money who have been coming into, various cities and buying up a ton of investment properties because real estate prices went up 25% last year, right? Sometimes you have to follow the smart money, but if you are buying and competing against these people, it's very, very difficult because they can waive their appraisals.
Everything.
They can literally waive everything and they can close the deal in 14 days. So in order to still be competitive in this industry, Guild Mortgage has created a phenomenal program called the CashPass, and I'll let David tell you a little bit more about how it works.
So the best analogy I've come up with for the CashPass is you have two different cars going down the street at the exact same time. They have the same finish line they're going to. We have one that's full of cash and we have another one that's full of paperwork. So we still got to figure out behind the scenes if somebody does qualify. Once we figure out that they've qualified, so we do this in advance, you don't lead just with cash. We give that education. We want to make sure that it logically makes sense to use this program. When it does click, all of us are on the same page and we're like, okay, let's go forward with this. Then we actually get the loan in, get it conditionally approved in advance as a to be determined property. So what that means is all of the buyer's conditions are already signed off. Okay, so that part is out of the way. The worry, oh my God, am I gonna qualify? I'm self-employed. I've only been in business for 5 years, but I had a great last year. Whatever the circumstance was, we go through those things first. If that fits, then we as the bank, as Guild Mortgage, so give a little more background, Guild is the bank and we can also broker. So that's what he's talking about, all the plethora of programs. The CashPass specifically is our money. So we, as the bank, know that you're solid, that you're gonna get a loan. The whole time you're gonna get a loan, but we give you the muscle to be able to say, hey, I wanna be able to get this house. And we're gonna talk about strategy here in a minute with the program too, is you can go in and say, here, I wanna pay $600,000 for this house. Again, talking about numbers, making sure it's worth what you're paying, all those different things go into that conversation first. But we say, hey, okay, 600 grand, here is Guild Mortgage giving you the money, guaranteeing it. So that's like proof of funds. So if you had a checking account that had 600 grand in it, it's the same as if we give you a CashPass for that same thing. Behind the scenes, we're still doing the loan. It's a normal loan. We lock the rate. We talk about payments. We make sure everybody's on the same page. So whoever gets there first in that finish line, like I talked about the 2 different cars, that's literally who closes. And in the eyes of a seller or the listing agent, they just want to be closing on time and as planned. So whether that's us paying it cash and then literally selling it right back to you as the consumer, which is how that would work, so you don't miss out, you get the house, everything is as planned, you still get the loan. It's a matter of us, again, setting that expectation, knowing the timing, and making sure exactly how it works, but using it to your benefit so that you get the offer accepted and can compete with the hedge funds or the somebody that's coming in and putting 50% down cash. It just makes you look so much better on paper and get you the house that you really want.
Yeah, as an example from the your realtor's perspective, how that might look in a transaction. Say, for example, we write an offer on a property and then we find out it's got 10 other offers on it. We would write our offer using traditional financing, and then I would find out from the listing agent where the other offers are. Do we stand a chance? Is there anything that we can improve on in our offer in order for us to be accepted? If then we go into a multiple offer, highest and best situation, or given the information that I find out from the listing agent, what might be advantageous for you to then do is change your offer from a financed offer to a cash offer. And the beauty behind this is it's just like a cash deal. You don't need an appraisal, you don't need your financing contingency, and the beauty behind it is you can close in 14 days.
Correct.
Which is, very, very attractive to a seller that wants their money, immediately as fast as possible. So the CashPass program is very, very valuable. Now, why wouldn't everybody just use the CashPass program?
It has to make sense. In general, there is a small fee that's associated with it. Again, we give full disclosure exactly how it works and what is entailed. So it's $1,350 that is paid at closing only if the CashPass is used. Meaning that, like he said, we go forward with the normal traditional offer and you have that in your back pocket that you have the ability to technically pay cash, then that's when that comes into play, only that time. And that's at closing gets added to the numbers that we go over in detail up front. The other piece of the puzzle when we go through some of the math is when you flip it to CashPass, there is no appraisal, there's no contingencies, there is a home inspection, which we highly recommend doing because we do want to see that. But on the other side, we have this conversation before we go that far, is on the loan, we're still doing all the normal stuff. So they're on the loan side of it, this hand versus this hand, we're still doing an appraisal, we're still doing everything that we do here. The loan's already signed off, that again, giving you peace of mind. That's why we can do it so fast. And more often than not, we close on the loan versus the cash. But it's there and it gives that seller and the listing agent that peace of mind that 14 days, we're gonna be done. And that gives you peace of mind that we're gonna be done and have that, okay, it's good, exciting, yay, let's celebrate. And it gave you that extra power to get that house where maybe again, 6 months ago, you were out in the market and you just got so frustrated. I'm not gonna say it on here, but it's a cure for the case of the you-know-whats of people are like, I don't wanna do this anymore. I'm so frustrated. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. It's a cure for that, to be able to get you back in the market, to be able to get you the house that you really do want.
I heard a client call it deal fatigue. He's like, I'm getting deal fatigue. I was like, I might just look at this next year. I was like, come on, let's keep going. Don't look at it next year. Right. Because, fortunately, bought a house last year in the 3.5% range, right? And now, interest rates are a lot higher. So I'm sure he's very, very happy. But it's a real thing. And I know that there would have been a tremendous amount of buyers that would have dropped out the market because you weren't getting offers accepted. Writing good offers, you can have the best intentions, but ultimately what means the most to the sellers is the offer. And whether that's the highest price or the best terms or a combination of the both, David and his team can basically help you get there. And along with us, we've got a very, very solid team, between us. So the CashPass is a new program will that be going away anytime soon, or is this is
no,
here to stay?
It's here to stay. It's Guild's money. We are a national bank, so it again just recently got rolled out. And I think it's going to be, like I said, a game changer just to be able to help you as a consumer truly compete in the market. And then also too, competing in the market with Guild, we are local. So a lot of people do represent Guild across our Southern Nevada and across the United States that have a huge capture rate in our market because we do it the right way. Guild is the #1 lender in the state of Nevada, has been for years running. Because we do it the right way, because we're the bank, because we're local, people know who we are. The listing agent knows who we are. Most of the time, the seller knows who we are and like, oh, yeah, they're great. Everything they're gonna do is exactly what they're telling you, and it closes. So because of that good reputation and having somebody like Steve in the Thomas Group that's also here and understanding our local market, that's a huge benefit to you as a customer, not just programs, but specifically because of that.
100%, I couldn't agree more. As a listing agent, when I have offers, if I've got 2 identical offers, one of them is from ABC Bank that I've never heard of, and one's from Guild Mortgage, I'm always gonna tell my clients, my sellers, that I'm familiar with this bank. You know, I've done work with this loan officer before. David, just so you know, is such a proactive loan officer. How we actually met is I was representing sellers. David had a loan for the buyers, and this never happens, you guys. This is why I'm working with him now, and this is why you should work with him as well, is because when the buyer's agent wrote the offer on the property that I was representing the sellers on, we had multiple offers. But David was the only lender out of all of the offers that we received that actually called me, told me that the buyer's financial status was solid, that the job was safe, and painted a picture for me that allowed me to feel comfortable that we would cross the finishing line together. Because there's nothing worse as an agent when you represent, you know, you're helping buyers or sellers and the transaction falls through. None of us want that. So it's very, very important to have, you know, somebody like that on your team, but also obviously it helps having that national, you know, recognition. Yeah, 100%. So lots of different programs available. CashPass, definitely recommend looking at that if you're, you know, entering the market anytime soon. If you have property somewhere else, you're living somewhere now and you're sitting on a ton of equity because, as we know, prices have gone up 25% in the last year. A lot of people have now got tons of equity in their home. We get this a lot. People that ask us, Steve, I want to move, you know, to Henderson, Las Vegas in a certain period of time, but I don't want the hassle and the stress of having to sell my house and buy one at the same time. And you guys have got another program that is perfect for people in that situation, right?
Yeah, it's called a bridge loan. So we used to do them a long, long time ago, and they've become more popular recently because of the equity. So when you have somebody, and whether that's in a different state or here, where our branch is actually licensed, I don't even know if you know this, in multiple states. So in particular, California, Arizona, Utah that are around here, and then also like Texas and Florida, and there's a couple others. So if somebody is in that state and they are sitting on a big chunk of equity, and like you were saying, they don't want to move twice. They don't want to have to sell their house, move in with mom and dad or whoever for a little bit of time, be displaced, live in an apartment, whatever the circumstance is, it takes that worry out. And it also, the big thing, it takes out the word contingency. Contingency in any market, no matter what's going on in interest rates, contingency just kind of makes people cringe, right? It's an uncertain thing because it's contingent upon XYZ happening. So if we have the ability to pull some equity out of the existing property and use that to qualify for the new house, it's huge because 1, you don't have to move yet. 2, you qualify for the loan you want and the house you wanted. We close on the existing house. The other one is listed at that time. More often than not, honestly, we don't even do the bridge loan. People actually just sell their house traditionally at that point, but we have the bridge loan there as a safety net. That way they get the equity, and if they sell it and they get more out of it than what we were gonna do for the bridge, then they put more down on the new house. So it's open communication and going through, let's call it the different steps of like a board game, all right? We go 1 step, 2, 3, 4, and we say, hey, this is where we're at, and this is why we can do it this way. Always having kind of plan A, plan B, plan C in action that the customer, the client, you guys, everybody's on the same page for, so that there's no surprises, but we can adjust really fast on the fly.
There's so many different programs out there that you really need to speak to a professional to be able to understand what's the best strategy for you. If someone's a first-time home buyer right now, there's a couple of good programs that I've seen you release. One with the Home Depot, because appliances have been well, first of all, hard to come by, and prices of them have been going up. So what's this program with the Home Depot?
So we're calling it the Green Smart. It's geared towards energy efficient properties and specifically tied to appliances in somebody's home. So some appliances are brand new, which is great, and this wouldn't necessarily apply to that. But if the home maybe is 5 or 10 or 20 years old, and the appliances are just as old, everybody knows eventually they're probably going to have to replace them. So this is not necessarily just for first-time home buyers, but it's more for the FHA demographic, which we would go over in detail with an individual, say, hey, FHA is the best for you because of this, or conventional is the best for you because of this, or we're going to talk about VA, and VA is the best because of this. This program is tied to FHA, so we don't want to overpromise, but it's definitely there and it's really cool, because what we can do is we can actually include the energy efficient appliances. So you go literally to the Home Depot website and you pick out a refrigerator, a washer, a dryer. It's up to 5% of whatever the purchase price is. And every county across the country has different loan limits, so we got to be careful. And again, we go through all of that in advance. But we say, okay, budgeting wise, this makes sense because of this. We, as the bank, and Guild is the one that's also doing this loan, it's a national partnership. We're the only company in the country that's doing it right now, and it literally just rolled out as well. And the reason that we're doing it is because we realize in the analytics and energy efficient things that are in your home truly do cut down so much of the cost, right? So we qualify somebody based on maybe a credit card or a car payment or a student loan and the mortgage. This takes it to the next level where we're like, okay, we're gonna add a little bit to the mortgage, which isn't a dramatic amount. I give this math to everybody, is every 10 grand is about $50 a month in a payment. So we don't want to go crazy because that adds up really fast, but it's an easy way to justify math on the fly, where if we can lower somebody's energy efficient utilities, behind the scenes, we see the long-term benefit. As the bank, we want to set people up to succeed. We want you to keep your house for a lifetime. We want this to be a really cool thing that we want to keep you as a customer for life. We want to be that expert. And this is a cool way to do that and to get you the new stuff in your new house.
It's very creative. So is it restricted to certain types of appliances? Is there a cap on how much you can spend, or is it just the 5% of the?
Yeah, so they're talking about, there'll be marketing that will come with this here pretty soon. I saw a sneak peek, I'm probably not supposed to say this, but we saw a sneak peek of how it's gonna look. And it's actually like a house, and the person gets to go click on the Home Depot website. And it's like into the kitchen, it's a refrigerator. And they go into the laundry room and they click on it. And it literally gives them, specifically through the Home Depot, which appliances they can actually purchase. So basic math, if it's a $400,000 house, 5%, right? We have $20,000 to technically play with. That's probably, in Clark County, that's probably the pinnacle there, but we would talk about that. They're talking about doing thermostats in that mix. Not yet, but water heaters. So there's all different kinds of things. It's super interactive. It's really cool that they get to pick and then they put it in their shopping cart. And then the Home Depot says, hey, we're here. This is what they're gonna do. Here's the receipt. And that's how we communicate, because the program's already approved nationally, that we can do this and include it in the mortgage.
That's very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, so if you feel like that's a program you could take advantage of, contact David. Also, it's something I think probably good to know is that if you are shopping, you're out house hunting and you find a place and it ticks a lot of the boxes, but all the appliances suck.
Yeah.
Like this,
could be the answer.
Could be the answer to it, yeah. So that's very good. Now in Las Vegas itself, we got two airflow spaces, right? We've got Nellis up in the far northeast, and then we've got Creech a little further north of the northwest. So we work with a lot of active military ourselves in our group, and also veterans as well. And I know you come from a big military family.
Correct.
So in terms of VA loans, is there any programs out there right now that, any information that should be pertinent to know?
Well, thank you for your service. For anybody that did serve or currently
you.
serving, that's a huge thing. Again, it's a big piece of our family's background, my wife's family's background. Where VA is so cool because the interest rates that we carry for multiple programs, VA is always going to be the most competitive. Guild Mortgage is actually based in San Diego. That's the mothership. And again, we're all over the country, but that's around a huge military base in San Diego. So that's where this started back in the 1960s, was actually catering more towards veterans than anybody else.
Oh, interesting.
So we understand that everything in your world is a little different. If you have active duty and you're being deployed, but your spouse is staying here. You have situations where maybe your spouse passed and the spouse can actually use entitlement that people don't know about. There's veterans that even back in 15 years ago did a conventional loan because people think that listing agents aren't going to accept a VA loan. Most of them actually do. They're good loans, again, a 30-year fixed mortgage. And again, it's education. And if you have the eligibility, let's at least talk about it before you go and have to put money down. Because a VA loan, you can literally do 0 down on the down payment, which is huge, and a really good interest rate. no private mortgage insurance. Like, you can literally go down the list for so many really cool things. And not that you want to max it out by any means, but there's really no loan limits.
I was just going to say, that's probably one of the best things.
It is. So not that you need to go to $1.2 million on a VA loan, but if you wanted to, you can. So those are cool things that we would talk about and say, hey, this makes sense for you because of this. And a lot of veterans that I've come across, that they did their 20 years, they did their 4 years, they did whatever they did, and then they have a second life. And they are a Metro police officer, or they're a doctor, or they're whatever they happen to be, and we can use both of those incomes. It's huge, and the buying power is massive. So use your benefits that you have. And then also too, there are people, unfortunately, that maybe had some kind of disability afterwards. Maybe their back got hurt, or they did get injured in active duty, where they actually get a percentage of disability. If it's over 10%, there's benefits for the loan. We don't include what's called a funding fee, which is an extra dollar amount that gets added into the loan, which isn't the end of the world if you have to do it, but it's there in most cases where we can avoid that. It's a big, like thousands of dollars. And then the really cool part is most veterans don't realize that with that disability, they can actually help when they go to the DMV. I don't know if you knew this or not, to lower their, when they go and register their vehicles.
Really?
So that's one, depending on their percentage. And then the other one, which most people don't realize, is they can actually, after closing, go and petition to get their property taxes reduced. Also because of that.
Okay.
So it's like things that veterans just don't realize that they have at their fingertips that we would love to educate, whether that's you're going to close tomorrow or you're going to close 2 years from now. Let's talk and find out what those options are, and then get you with somebody like Steve and the Thomas Group to let you know what the real estate market is for somebody like yourself that's going to get you out and be like, okay, this is the house that can get you $500,000 or $750,000 or $300,000, whatever it is. That's where communication education comes in, and a collective group really does help.
Yeah, we've had lots of success with our active military and our veterans with our offers. And what I always like to do in our offers is I have my client, or I can help with it, write a little note to the seller, and I often just grease the wheels a little bit and tell them, a little bit about the person. Like our last client, who is a fighter pilot who moved from California, our last client, into Nellis. It just so happened that the seller's family it was a big military family, and the listing agent was also a veteran.
Right.
So when I told them a little bit about that, that he's moving here, these are the reasons, it just made everything go a little smoother, and we got our offer accepted. And we had no issues with the loan, and the VA, Guild was, wonderful to work with. So yeah, definitely I feel like knowledge is power. And like you said, that unfortunately there isn't enough education out there for many people to know what options are available to them. Don't get scared about any situation. If you're thinking about buying a home, just reach out to one of us, and we can have a free consultation and give you the best advice, and let you do what you choose with it. Very last question I wanted to talk to you about regarding programs and stuff is, well, actually penultimate question is, do you have any specific programs for investors? And what about like teachers and doctors here in town?
Investors, yes. A lot of investors are coming in and buying high-rise again, so we're doing high-rise financing. So that's a topic probably maybe for another day.
No, I'm interested to talk about that just real quick.
Okay.
On the Strip?
On the Strip.
Okay.
We've done a lot in Signature, which is an MGM product. Done a lot in Trump Tower. We've done a lot in Panorama. So there's a couple of them that we have the back story. The HOA is already approved, all those kind of things that we can talk about and elaborate if you want, but there's options. So it's really cool.
That is really cool. For those of you that might not be familiar with some of the properties that David just mentioned, what is consistent, I believe, that is in all of those that you just mentioned, is they all have a rental pool, which basically means that you can buy a high-rise unit, and then when you're not here in town, if you only visit the city for a few days, a week or months or whatever, they will put the property, the unit, the room in the rental pool for you, and you get cash flow.
It's very similar to an Airbnb.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Okay, so lots of different programs out there for investors. And what about for teachers and doctors? Because I've seen different marketing materials that is relevant to those
So there's a teacher down payment assistance program that they can get up to $7,500 towards their down payment or closing costs. And the rate's very competitive compared to what the market happens to be. And again, everything's always options. We'll go plan A and see if that fits. We'll go plan B and see if that fits. And then you go out and shop from there. And a lot of teachers don't realize that this program exists. They extend it usually like every quarter, every 6 months. So we got to be careful to a degree, but right now it's active and it has been for quite a while to be able to open up that opportunity.
Okay.
Some of the other ones, doctors and nurses, first responders, there's different programs that are tied to you guys as well, if that fits your demographic, that we would love to give the education and say, hey, this works because of this, because of your career. And then that's where we talk, and that does help too, going back to what Steve was talking about, where you guys can, as a veteran, maybe write a letter. It helps in general, but it also helps when we can corroborate the story. And we don't say, hey, your FICO score is a 770. Hey, we don't say their income is 106,412. We don't say the specifics, but we say we have it verified. And that is a huge piece of the puzzle. And we're doing a lot more where we put people in as a to be determined property, not necessarily just because of CashPass, but in general, because that also gives strength to an offer, that all we need is a potential appraisal and an inspection on your guys' side, and we're ready to go and we can go quick. So that's where Guild can adjust on the fly really fast with different programs, communication back to Steve and his team, and then specifically to you as a client, making sure that you know what you're doing and not going out completely blind and just jumping off a cliff without a parachute.
Right.
We want to arm you with every possible avenue so that way you can adjust on the fly and get the house that you really want.
I think that's a perfect line to end on. We hope you enjoyed this topic, this conversation, and if you have any questions for David, we'll put all of his contact information on the screen and on our website. And of course, if you would like a consultation with ourselves, you can visit the thomasgrouplv.com, and all our info is on there. But for
Thank you very much.